Growing up with a growing understanding speech pathology. Conversations about children's development that will support you through your parenting journey.
Hi, I'm Lauren from A Growing Understanding, and welcome to the Growing Up podcast. This is where we have real and practical conversations about children's communication and feeding development, helping parents to feel supported, informed, and empowered. Each episode, I'll sit down with one of our amazing team members to share insights, answer some common questions, and give you some useful strategies that you can take into everyday life. So whether you're wondering if your child may need some support or looking for some tips to help their progress, or perhaps you might like to better understand their journey, this podcast is here to help. If this sounds like it may be helpful, make sure to follow along and let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of Growing Up with a Growing Understanding. Today, I've got two guests on the show with me. I've got Zoe and Hayden. So Zoe is one of our speech pathologists at A Growing Understanding, and Hayden is our dungeon master, which I think is just the coolest title in the world. But that leads us into talking about what this podcast episode is all about. It is about our program, Dungeons and Dragons Speech and Story Quest. This is something that I am so excited about. My son became familiar with, aware of Dungeons and Dragons a few years ago now, and I saw so much opportunity to be able to combine it with the work that we do in speech pathology. So excited for this particular program, and I hope today is a chance to be able to share a little bit about yourselves, but also to be able to explain this Dungeons and Dragons group and what the program is going to look like. So I might throw to you, Zoe. Do you want to do a little bit of a brief introduction to of yourself? I've given a very brief one, but do you want to give an introduction and what sparked your interest in Dungeons and Dragons?
Well, my name's Zoe. I'm one of the speech pathologists here at A Growing Understanding. I think what really sparked my interest in this group was just the creativity of it all, that sort of role-playing element, and being able to have a group where we can support some of the older children that we do see and we do support, and have it set up in a way that make sure that they're still supported, but they're able to connect with other children, have a lot of fun along the way, and generalize the skills that they're learning and practicing here in the clinic. So I've been really excited about some of the newer groups that we're starting to offer, especially this one.
Yeah, I like that. And we talk a lot about how we run interest-based groups. And so this is something that from my own experience, as some of the tweens, teens that we work with might have seen or heard of D&D, but they may not know how to play it, or they may have limited experience in it, or they might not have the communication or social interaction skills to be able to allow them to be able to jump into a game. So I love that we're continuing that theme and the idea of our interest-based groups, and this is something cool to be bringing into the mix. I know that you're excited about all of the potential little elements. I say elements, but like the figurines and all of the dice and all of the things that go with it. So thanks, Zoe. Hayden, over to you. Do you want to share a little bit about you, your role in this Dungeons and Dragons program?
So my name's Hayden. And my role in this program would be to facilitating the actual running of the game. So Dungeons and Dragons it's a setting, really. What we're kind of looking at doing here is actually experimenting in tabletop role-playing game. So Dungeons and Dragons is a setting of wizards, dragons, dungeons, goblins, orcs, adventure, magic items. What I love about tabletop role-playing is that it is multi-universal. You could be in space. You could be in the Wild West. You could be the top of the mountain. You can take it everywhere. Really, the the thing that I'm looking forward to is being able to assist young people in practicing social interaction. That's really my role here. Yeah. It's very much story, player driven. My role as a game facilitator is really just to present them with scenarios, and we really sort of bounce off them, if you will.
One of the things that I learned about Dungeons and Dragons through my own personal experience with my son is just that flexible thinking that's required. And you touched on it a little bit there, Hayden, when you were talking about all of the different settings and all of the different types of characters. And it is about facilitating that social interaction. But for some of the children, I say children, but, children and teenagers that we're working with, that idea of being able to connect with peers, connect with other adults, can be challenging, and they need some scaffolds and support to be able to do that. And one of the things that they may be challenged by, and I say challenged because it's also an opportunity for them to expand their skills, is around that flexible thinking. And, the story can go lots of different ways. So I think that that's what I really like about the role. Your role in this is being experienced in that game facilitation and that dungeon master role. You can really support these teenagers that we're working with to be able to play the tabletop game, but to flexibly interact with and follow that storyline to be able to support some of the goals that they're working with. So I think that that's really cool.
A lot of their, sorry if I may, it's with their characters as well. It's not just them and a little plastic piece and a dice. It's during character creation, you actually get to tap into a part of themselves that they may want to bring out. So we'll see in previous games the quietest individual be the loudest character, or the a character who an individual who may be really scared to maybe show up their maybe intelligence, but they're a wizard in the game and they're really, really smart and they need to. So it's flexibility. It's also them, just showing a side of themselves that maybe they're scared to bring out.
You touched on it when you were saying then about, and I really like that they can play around with their characters and they can be different characters for every game that they play. They can, I've heard of people holding on to and developing the same character over time, and it's got a lot of complexities to it, but you can also change your characters as well. Zoe and I have only briefly sort of spoken about how we're going to structure the day and the program, but that character development is a large part of how we'll start the day, really, with helping the participants to really structure and think about and consider all of the elements of their characters. And we do that using some of their goals for what they have for speech pathologies, because our thinking is that the participants, the teenagers who are going to be attending this group, they may have been seeing us for individual therapy. They may also be new to our service as well, but we're wanting to use that opportunity to spend some time with them as a group to be able to develop their character and to think about how their character may be able to respond within this game that they're about to be facilitated through. So I really like that, and it's good to kind of have that in our mind. And so for parents listening too, they might already want to be starting to talk to their teenagers and their children about what do they think, what sort of character do they think that they may like to have, and we can certainly provide some resources for that too.
Yeah, and you could take a look at the hopefully the skills that these children and teenagers are going to learn. You could take that into the wider world. So, for instance, we've got a thing called the DOTS system, DOTS. You're confronted with an issue, problem, whatever you want to say it. So dots. D, desire. What is it that I want? O, what's the obstacle in the way? T, what's the tactic that we're going to use? And S, so then what happens? So it's kind of a thing that I practice myself when I have an issue come up. What's my desire? What is it I want? What's in my way? What can I use so I can get so forth?
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, I really like that because it can be applied beyond the tabletop game, right? And yeah, as you said, for any situation that comes up, to be able to then carry that through. And that's ultimately what we're wanting from speech pathology. We're wanting children to be able to develop their communication, social interaction skills, their learning, and be able to apply it beyond the clinic, beyond the more structured, facilitated opportunities to their everyday life and their everyday situations as well. And I think when we move away from the game on as part of this program and we're having lunch and we're having afternoon tea, hopefully we can also have some reflection time to be able to think about how that can be expanded and extended beyond that. So yeah, really like that. Zoe, you've done lots of different groups with our service over the years. In terms of how you think that the Dungeons and Dragons program is going to look like, I'm asking you to start off with, because I know that you do this automatically or and in a very structured way. How do you modify a group or a program and a group of tweens and teens to be able to support their communication and their social skills? And in particular, how do you modify that for neurodivergent players? What does that look like?
Well, another reason why I'm really looking forward to this group is because it is a bit of a longer group. So I'm looking forward to just having the opportunity to get to know some of these children a bit more over time, and especially if child or tween starts masking at the beginning of the group, trying to see sort of what supports and strategies we can put in place to help them participate to the level that they want to throughout the day. So I'm looking forward to getting to really know the participants of the group as the group progresses along, especially with those sort of meal times that we'll have for some of that connection in between the games and the character creation. I just really try to meet children and teens where they are at, and then going, okay, well, what's the next step of support for them? And I know we'll be doing character creations and have some sort of structure to the sessions, but then allowing for some of that flexibility. So there'll be lots of opportunities for breakouts, for movement breaks. We haven't told you this yet, but we've planned where we're having the group upstairs, and it's got access to a kitchen and a fridge to keep. There might be some children who like some ice to crunch on or something cool to help them regulate. There's a separate little breakout room that's still on the same level as the group, but provides a quieter, potentially calmer space if we need it. Just because on the day it's what the kids need on that day, and sort of adjusting and responding to that, and also having it be collaborative with the participants of the group and helping them with their self awareness and then that self advocacy to see what they come out with and what tools they already have in their toolbox, and facilitate them in accessing that.
Love all of those. Thanks, Zoe. It's proving to be very popular. It's really the talk of the town within the clinic at the moment. All of there's quite a number of teenagers that are getting really excited for this program, and we can probably already start to see that we're going to have some repeat attenders in terms of that participation, which is what we're ultimately aiming for. Hayden, are you able to share a little bit about, we've spoken previously, just not on this sort of forum and on the podcast, just about some of the modifications of the core Dungeons and Dragons program. So touching on a little bit of that critical core element, I guess, to be thinking about how you might adapt the standard, and I'm doing that, the air quotations, the standard D&D program, because I think, or the D&D game, I should say, rather than program. It's more so you've touched on that it is very much about that facilitation and being flexible to be able to adjust and move. So there's already some inbuilt elements in there about how you adapt the game. But yeah, are you able to touch on a little bit further about how we're considering and modifying the standard, as I said, air quotes, the standard D&D game?
Yeah, most certainly. The tricky thing about Dungeons and Dragons is we never really know what the exact story is going to be. We have an idea. We've got a start, a middle, and an end. We need to be very flexible with that. So, for instance, one thing I'm going to make sure that we do is we're rolling dice. So you roll what's called a thing you got on my everyone see them on the tats.
Perfect.
Yeah, the D20. You roll a 20-sided dice and you need to reach a certain number. A certain number gives you it's a success or a failure. What I don't want to do is make people feel that if they fail, then they're a failure. So I think going into the session, we're really going to maybe see if we can have a discussion about that. About we want the emphasis to be fun. Really, it's a social interaction game. Regardless of the outcome, where we're going to be amongst each other. Sometimes you'll be successful, sometimes you'll have setbacks, but you'll be there with your friends. You'll be there with the group. So that's one thing. The flexibility is that I won't be rules heavy as well. They've got books that are like, yay thick. And there's a rule that I use called the rule of cool. If they do something that they think is really cool that their character wants to do, I'm not going to flip through a book and then find if it fits into a policy or procedure or whatever. You know what? Child, teenager, that's the coolest idea I've ever heard. Let's give it a go. That's the flexibility that I think that we're going to do here. I'm also going to be working with Zoe, making sure I'm checking in with her because, we both have, just like a Dungeons and Dragons party, I've got a certain amount of skills. Zoe has a certain amount of skills. For us to really achieve, to make this successful, I'm going to have to check in with my teammate, so I can pull on some of her strengths when I'm feeling a little bit low, and hopefully vice versa, get through this. So I guess the flexibility, maybe it's also like we're mentoring how to actually achieve a social interaction as well. That sort of makes sense. So a little bit.
Yeah, it does. And what you've done in explaining some of those, modifications or adaptations and the way to approach it, I think you've also touched on, and both of you have touched on, what we're looking for in terms of what we would consider a success, or what are the outcomes and benefits that we're hoping for these participants to get from this D&D experience. I think from what you've said and from everything that we've spoken about in the lead up to this too, we're really wanting to see increased confidence to be able to share ideas and to be able to participate in games and activities like this with peers, to feel more comfortable in that group environment and that group setting, and to have that, practicing some of the flexible thinking, problem solving, and we always hope, but to really build that sense of belonging, belonging within that group, and your belonging within our service is really important. To round out our chat, and would really love to get some information from you about, or some advice from each of you. Firstly, who do you think should participate in this program? And secondly, any advice for families if they're considering this, and things that they could do in the lead up to participation in this particular program? That was a long question, wasn't it? So, who do you suggest participates in the program, and any advice for parents, families who are thinking about registering, in the lead up, what they can be doing?
Well, I think that D&D is for everyone, to have that bit of a cop-out answer. But just for, like, if there are any families out there with children or teens that are really interested in, like, any sort of, I think, gaming or role-playing or making their own worlds. I'm even thinking about Minecraft and Roblox, those sorts of explorers in their games. I think they would really enjoy the group. And I think to prepare is to maybe talk about the group, and this, even just something as practical as like the start and end times, and talking about, we'll be making a character, and that the character can have traits like you, or could be entirely different, and that there's no limits really. I like the rule of cool, so that might be good to start using that.
Let them know it's okay. Yeah. Hayden, what about you?
Oh, well, I'll have to agree with Zoe as well. Tabletop role-playing gaming is really for everyone. With this group, it would be good to have teenagers and children close to the same age as well. So those who just really would like to be social or learn to be social with other people as well. There's some really great, myself and Zoe, we're going to be there to help guide them, and just really sort of be there to encourage, but not force them to come along. And maybe just it's scary to try something new. It's always scary to try something new, but so is going into a deep, dark dungeon with a brooding brimstone smell of sulfur in the air, and you can hear a chain moving around in the darkness. And, there's a scraping on the wall that says, "Beware, dragon ahead." So it's something like that.
And so they have to be a bit brave to try something new, give it a try, and that you've got some very supportive people around you to give this a bit of a go.
Brave is going into the face of danger knowing that you can do it. Courage is feeling that you don't want to do it, but giving it a go.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much for your time to chat a little bit about this really exciting program, our Dungeons & Dragons Speech and Story Quest. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and, being a part of this really exciting program that we have on offer at A Growing Understanding.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Growing Up with A Growing Understanding Speech Pathology. We love helping families navigate their parenting concerns and ensuring your child can grow and achieve. Please rate and review wherever you're listening so we can continue to grow together.